One of my favorite things about movies, I don't know about you, but is making things work with whatever you have. Right?
Totally. Filmmaking is literally a job about problem solving. 100%.
Absolutely, right? Or even just like, if you can't get what you want, you make things work. Like this recent little tidbit I found out. Did you know that in the original Jurassic Park movie, the velociraptor sounds were a cacophony of different noises that were all used to make those sounds. But one of the sounds used to make the iconic velociraptor screeching and sounds was the sound of tortoises mating.
Yeah, I think they also tried horses and geese as well, but I think tortoises ended up being the best.
You tried it.
I tried it, yeah.
You said I tried it.
I think I said they, but maybe I tried it. Who knows?
I can just see Adrian going, yes, and the two of you will now mate, and we will have dinosaurs. We didn't spare any expense. Anywho, welcome back to the Drive Back Podcast. My name is Garrett.
I'm Adrian.
And today we have a Phone a Friend, which is what, Adrian?
It's where we use friends' recommendations to bump movie suggestions up in the very long queue that we have of films to watch. So it's actually really funny. This one was recommended by Garrett's friend Joey, but it's also my friend Joey's favorite movie. Different Joeys, same movie.
It was recommended by actually two different Joeys, also another friend of the show named Adam. So quite a few people have actually recommended what we watched.
Me as well. I've been talking about this movie for a couple years. I
think Adrian's given TED Talks on why we should cover this movie.
Spoiler alert, I really like this movie.
But first up, if you do want to watch Secret Life of Walter Mitty, it is available to stream on HBO Max. Luckily, the last couple movies we've had to rent, so awesome, we don't have to do that. But yeah, HBO Max is where you are able to rent it. I don't know if it's a limited time thing or if it's there for good. So
it's been on there for a while, but yeah, who knows?
Well, then there you go. But before we dive into details, let's go ahead and go over what the movie actually is. Released in 2013, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty was directed by Ben Stiller and stars Ben Stiller, Kristen Wiig, and Sean Penn. When both he and a colleague are about to lose their job, Walter takes action by embarking on an adventure more extraordinary than anything he ever imagined. This movie did not have any notable Oscars or anything like that it had been nominated for, which, again, is part of my confusion. I always confuse this movie with Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, or whatever that movie is.
Which is strange. Yeah, nothing alike.
Don't know why. I think they came out around the same time, and they had trailers that seemed similar or used like a similar song. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
But now, this was my first time watching it. Obviously, this was not your first time watching it.
No, I've seen this movie probably like 20 or 30 times.
Interesting. What was your first experience with it? Did you see it in theaters?
Seeing it in theaters. Yeah, just the idea, the initial trailer, if that's what you're going to look up, listener, to see if you want to watch it, it's just really good. Like, it's totally like doing Space Oddity, the soundtrack, like all the stuff in the trailer just really sold me on it. Went to the theater, just totally up my alley in terms of how I think about life and aspirations and goals and all those things. So it's my kind of movie.
Gotcha. Yeah, I never saw this in theaters. I remember seeing the trailers, obviously, unless I got those confused with Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close too. But I never had the urge to see it. I think right around that time was after I graduated high school, and I was still kind of in that phase where a lot of movies were Oscar baity type stuff, and this kind of looked like it fit into that category of someone trying to go for an Oscar and not trying to make something that's relevant. And so, luckily, that was me back at that point in my life.
Yeah, totally.
And, back when I would have thought La La Land was the most pretentious piece of film ever, and then now it's one of the higher rated movies on the channel. But I do have to say this movie is, I don't think this is Ben Stiller's first film, because I think he did Tropic Thunder before this.
Like in his career?
Yeah.
Or directing?
Directing.
Yeah.
No, he's been in stuff for
That's
a
what I was
very
going to
long
say.
time.
Like, Garrett, Ben Stiller is a famous actor.
Nah, this is the first I've seen of it. I definitely want to check because I believe he did Tropic Thunder, and as I know that was like 2008-ish.
I don't remember if he directed that though.
Well, we're gonna find out right now because IMDb is ready to go. He did in fact do Tropic Thunder. Also looks like he did Zoolander and The Cable Guy.
Oh, so he's been doing it.
So
Nice.
so this isn't his first rodeo, but this movie, comparative to like Tropic Thunder and Zoolander and things like that, this feels more like he was telling a more, I hesitate to say more adult story, but a more fleshed out story.
Yeah.
That I think fits into the mold of the Oscar type film, which is a little weird that it wasn't nominated for anything.
I think that's part of what makes me like this movie more, though, is that it is still this kind of like underground, really good movie, in my opinion. Like, it didn't win all those things, it didn't get the buzz, and it kind of makes it one of those like guilty pleasures. Like, it's just a movie for me and the people that know about it.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think the one moment that really caught me towards the beginning is this isn't a spoiler. We'll drop a spoiler warning in a second. But when he gets the phone call from the guy at eHarmony, which for someone who's used dating apps before, that is just so funny to me. But when he just like hangs up and just dives through the window out of nowhere, I was like, okay, maybe I don't remember anything about this movie. But we'll go ahead. Let's drop a spoiler warning.
Yep.
So general thoughts. Adrian recommends this movie. I would say I'm a little bit more tentative on this movie. I feel like it's one of those. It's kind of like the situation where you've had before, where you can tell it's a good movie, just maybe not something that I would want to watch again.
Sure.
But I think there's a lot of people that will like this movie. So I will recommend it, even though it wasn't necessarily the film for me. But we'll get into that more with spoilers. So dropped in spoiler warning. It is on HBO Max if you want to watch it now. Now that we have that out of the way, my biggest problem with this movie, and it has nothing to do with the actors in it. I usually don't like Kristen Wiig, and I thought she was good here. Sean Penn isn't in it as much as I would have liked him to be. Adam Scott is still a dick in pretty much every movie or show he's ever in, and he continues it here. There's that awesome fight sequence with him and Ben Stiller in the street, which is great. Yeah. And Ben Stiller is far more reserved than he usually is. Than something like Night at the Museum or Zoolander. Like, he's having fun here, but in a different way.
In a respectable way, I feel. Like, I think it's a great growth movie. For Ben Stiller. I think it was him stepping out of his comfort zone in a lot of different ways. Not just comedically, but directing-wise, it's just very different.
It is. And it's different from anything he's done. And I would like to see him do more of it, because I feel like he has the talent to tell these types of stories. My only main criticism, my kind of main thing, is I wasn't very engaged, I would say. It kind of fell into a similar pattern as last week's Bridge to Terabithia, where I would say this film is better than Bridge to Terabithia by far, but I just never really felt like it was cool. What I was seeing was cool, and what I was seeing was well done, but it never latched onto me. It never, it was never hook, line, and sinker, right? And I'm struggling to kind of figure out what would have made it that way for me. Because it has, it has the effects, right? It's got those moments. It's also got the incredible personal moments in the film. It just never really. I don't know. I don't know what it was.
Fair enough.
But let's go ahead. I'll hand the microphone over to you of sorts. So what makes this, like, I wouldn't say this is one of your favorite movies, or Absolutely. Would you say that it is one of your favorites? Okay. Yeah. So what makes it one of your favorites?
Yeah, I wish that this story happened to me. And a lot of my friends as well, as people that daydream a lot and live in my own head quite a bit, this movie just really identifies with wanting to be the main character in your own life, and not being it, and struggling to kind of find yourself and figure out who you are and break out of your own shell and do something crazy. And I really pride myself on a lot of the values that this movie has, which is being spontaneous and trying new things and daring to be different and daring to do the impossible. And it just has all those things that I feel like are very much things that I aspire to be, and I've adopted from the movie as core personality traits. And I think this movie had a big impact on molding me into the humble brag, I guess, outgoing person that I am today. I think I took Walter Mitty and embodied a lot of it. And so have a couple of my friends as well. It's just a really powerful movie in that sense.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you gotta love it when a movie can touch you that way, right?
Yeah, and I don't think it's about like the effects or anything. I think it's the personal moments, like, it's big spoiler, but at the end when the photo is him, like this nobody who he thought was a nobody the whole movie, is in other people's eyes what made this magazine Time what it is. And it's about like understanding other people's perspectives and not being so hard on yourself and growing. And I think it's got everything. And also, speaking of the scenes, like one of my dreams is to go longboarding in Switzerland and down that massive or bank or Greenland or wherever he is. But just like that stuff is just so, to me, that just is a good life of doing things that are outside the box and traveling and all that. So totally hits all the boxes.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I do have to point out the one kind of stupid thing, which is he never opened the wallet. Like when I get anything, right? Like a wallet, a pair of pants, a t-shirt even, I check the whole thing. I'm like, is there anything, like, can I get any tags? Or like, is there anything in here that I should know about? I would have found that photo in like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Like if you buy a wallet, right? Yeah. I don't know when the last time you bought a wallet was.
I got one for my birthday, this past birthday.
Didn't you open it when you looked at it to me how many cards it could hold, what all the little slots were?
I mean, it's a slim wallet, so there wasn't much to it, but I guess I did give it a once-over.
Right. You would have seen a little manila envelope sticking out of the wallet.
Well, I will say that it was stamped with the logo of Time magazine, the Monarch.
Life.
So I feel
Life magazine.
Or Life, yeah, of Life. And I feel like I could totally justify thinking that is the gift. It's a customized, generic wallet.
Yeah. But I do have to admit, like, when someone writes "look inside," like, I get inside the wrapping paper, but, you know, the kind of guy that, like, I'm always looking for, like, that surprise gift, like, oh, maybe he left a $20 bill in here, like, I don't
but you
know.
Also, okay, to devil's advocate that, though, you also have to think, this is a job, and every other photo is on this rack. Like, why would you need to, like, okay, even if there was something in the wallet, why would it be the photo? Like, why? There's no reason that you would think, oh, photo 13 is in this wallet.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just check the damn wallet when you get it. I want to know what it's going to hold. Am I going to be able to put 6 cards in there or 2? Oh, look, a manila envelope. Hey, it's a negative print. Like, I don't know. That just felt so, like, just, like, there's a Reddit thread that I discovered today, which was incredible, and it's movies that would have been over in 5 minutes if the main character acted logically.
Yeah, this is one.
And this is one of them, for me at least. I mean, I can understand the story and storytelling reasons why.
Yeah, and also,
you want the character to grow and...
To that point, to that pinnacle, life isn't, you don't always act intelligently. Sometimes you miss stuff, so...
It's true. I tried to act intelligently as much as possible. But other than that, like, the main criticism of just really not latching onto me and potential stupid main character, that's debatable, I guess. The movie, like, I was far expecting this movie to have more of a serious kind of a tone when it wasn't in the Daydream sequences. And I'm glad that it kind of just kept us, like, a sense of fun about it the whole time. Like, yeah,
because life should be fun.
Yeah, like, Catherine Hahn's character is just basically Catherine Hahn, and, you know, she was having fun whenever she was on the screen. Cool. Like, it seemed like everyone was having fun doing what they were doing, and I think that plays a large part into why the movie can work for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think if you... ever feel like you aren't the main character in your own life, then this movie speaks to you. Like, I feel like it is about reframing your own mind. And, like, if you want to go do something, just go do it. Like, I learned so many things from this movie and many others of, like, a lot of this is such a wild thing that I tell myself all the time, but a lot of people say, like, just do it on 3. And I watched a movie one time that said, just go on 2, because if you're going to do it, what's the point of waiting till 3? Like, just do it. And I do that with everything. Like, if there's a travel plan, if someone's like, hey, do you want to go to Nebraska? Yeah. Like, why not? I'm not, like, you just do it. So I feel like this kind of movie totally is just if I made a movie about me, this is what I would want it to come out as.
Gotcha. Who would you want to play you?
Probably Sigourney Weaver.
Hey, man, apparently all you gotta do is drive up to the house with a bucket full of money. Yeah. How much can we get for shaving my head? $1 million? All right, let's go ahead and do it. It's an awesome way to look at the movie. I don't know what it was that just did not keep me invested. Like, it just never grabbed me, and I don't know.
Did you feel like you didn't identify with Ben Stiller's character in any way?
I mean, there's definitely parts of him that I definitely identify with. Like, I do enjoy daydreaming every once in a while when I have the time to do it, even when I don't have the time to do it.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
That certainly happens, but like, maybe it's kind of the adventurous side that I don't necessarily like identify with. Like, if someone was like, "Hey, you got to go to Greenland right now," and I'd be like, "No, I'm staying home."
And that is the opposite, because I would definitely go to Greenland.
Why
wouldn't you go to Greenland? What?
Why would for all the places and like I think it maybe is just the location, right? Like, if someone was like, "Hey, do you want to go to Greenland?" I'd probably be like, "What's the purpose? What's the reasoning for going?" Whereas, like, if someone was like, "Hey, Garrett, you want to go to Japan?" I'd be like, "Hell yeah, let's go," because like that's the location I want to go to. Whereas Greenland, I feel like, what's there? Why are you luring me for some sort of trap? Are you trying to kidnap me?
We think so differently. It is nuts right now. I am actively, if you're watching this on YouTube, I am like shook at that thought process, because I just don't understand that at all. I'm just like such a like
spontaneous.
Yeah, but it's also like, having traveled abroad quite a bit, it's just everywhere is so different, and I just love perspective, and I love gaining new perspectives on things. And I feel like I haven't been to Greenland, but if I went to Greenland, I'm sure I would learn something about the world and myself there that would make that trip work.
I suppose so. Maybe it's also just something like we like to do just different things. Like,
it's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, very good friends, but we are very different people when it comes to recreational activities.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, like I don't know, like I guess because I'm more of like a logical, kind of like calculating kind of person. I guess like why am I going here? Like, what is the purpose? What is the reasoning beyond wanting to go somewhere, right? So I'm not as spontaneous.
That is so interesting. What matters more than wanting to do it?
Like, what's there? I don't know.
But if you wanted to go,
well, if I wanted to go, it's because there's something that I wanted to do there.
So then it's a paradox. You would, if you wanted to go, you wouldn't ask why, because you would already want to go.
Well, like, if it's a look, okay. We're getting off topic here. So let's say like I'm picking where I want to go.
Okay.
Right? I look at what places have what I would like to do.
Sure.
As you would for any vacation.
But what if I just invited you to Greenland?
I would ask why. Like, what are we doing in Greenland?
For fun.
What's there to do in Greenland for fun?
We'll probably find some cool bars. We'll find some cool restaurants, some fish and chips. We'll enjoy the scenery, camp out a bit.
For how long?
5 days.
That's way too long. If you're not selling me with something to do, I actively, like I was saying, I want to go to Japan. Like, that's my dream trip right now, because Tokyo Disneyland, Tokyo Disney Sea, all the stuff you
Okay.
can do in town, like downtown Tokyo, all the places you can visit, like the foreigner accepting onsens would be really cool to to experience.
The Samurai Museum,
Yeah, there's
Shibuya Station.
a lot of different stuff to do there that is
Do you think you
completely
just
different.
know more about Japan than Greenland?
I mean, it doesn't hurt. Also, they have theme parks there, which are a huge thing I love to do, and I doubt
You can go tobogganing down the hills of Greenland.
But if Disney didn't throw it in a dark room with some animatronics, I don't want it.
I don't want the speed if I can see anything. Yeah, that's crazy. No, this is. I mean, we've had conversations about this before, but that's kind of why I like this movie. I feel like that conversation we just had, as tangential as it might seem, encompasses why I like this movie and why Garrett doesn't necessarily, or not doesn't like it, but doesn't fully like align with it the way that I do. Is different thought processes.
Yeah, no,
And
that's
what art is.
To be fair, I enjoy the movie. I think it is a good
Yeah.
movie. I just don't like click with it, and that's why. Our travel plans are very different. Okay. To be fair, I'm not hating on Greenland in specific, and if there's any listeners in Greenland, which there probably
They're like,
isn't,
fuck you, Garrett.
it's nothing to do with your country. I just don't know enough about it where I'd be like, I want to go there. You know
So
what I mean?
do you think it is a, yeah, maybe it is back to what you said, maybe it is spontaneity. Do you think that it is you need to know do you need to fully understand where you're going?
Well, let me answer that with a question. When let's say, because you said you've traveled overseas before, or you've traveled to other countries.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan when you get there? Like what you're
No.
doing on what day, where you're staying?
Nope.
That is the
Well,
complete...
where we're staying, yeah, you have to book the first hotel for the first night.
Gotcha. That's the complete antithesis already to what I would do. Like, I would want to have like an itinerary of what's going on each day. And obviously
what would
leave
happen-
some time for like, hey, let's go down to a bar or something like that.
Wow. Wild. Yeah, we would not be good travel partners.
That being said, you want to go to Japan?
I've been, and you would love it. I've been to Tokyo. It's very, very cool.
I want to go so bad. But anything else you want to talk about with the movie before we get way too off track?
No, I mean, as
It's not really
I feel
off
like
track, but
that is the antithesis of the movie, is personality driven.
My
and
travel
I feel like
plans.
yeah, is Garrett's travel plans. But I feel like Walter Mitty starts the movie off very much in Garrett's shoes, like needs to have a full plan, like doesn't do anything, like would never go to Greenland. Just like, I think even in the movie, he's like, I guess I'm doing this. Like, he doesn't want to do it. And then throughout his butterfly cocooning, whatever that, molting, whatever that term is, where he like grows out of his old personality into his new one, he becomes more like me. And I like Walter Mitty at the end of the movie for myself. Like, that's what I aspire to be, is fourth act Walter Mitty. Like, I want to play weird football with Himalayan guides. Like, that seems like an ideal trip to me, is sitting around the fire and camping with people and getting to know like strangers. That's perfect. So
See,
that's
again, we're different. It's got to be a posh hotel for me. Like, after
I don't
years
like
of Boy Scouts, I hate camping.
really see. Yeah, I like
I
camping.
hate it.
But like when Cass and I went to China, we had our hotel for the first night, and it was a little dicey. So we stayed there the night, and then we looked up another hotel. We didn't even know there was a Disneyland in Shanghai until the last day, and we decided that we were going to go, and we had to push all of our travel plans out and almost missed 3 connecting flights back to the States. And we had to run through the airport with our suitcase like the Amazing Race, and we ran across like snowy Xi'an from one train station to another because we booked a ticket at the wrong one and didn't look at the details of it. And I'll tell you, like, yeah, I could.
That gives me a panic attack just
Garrett's
thinking about
crying. Garrett's crying. Visual storytelling. Garrett is sobbing. But like that stuff, like, yes, it's crazy in the moment, and yeah, we were both super stressed out, and it was crazy. But it is one of, like, telling people about our trip to China is one of the best stories. It is one of the best experiences that we've ever had. And it's life to me is about making memories, and the crazier the memory, the better.
Hey, you know what? And there you go. So, I mean, for me, it's kind of like as long as I'm. Let me get my camera fixed. There we go. As long as I'm happy, as long as I'm doing something that like impacts me, and it kind of sounds selfish, but I think, like when you're single, kind of alone, like I am, you're only really into it for yourself, right? I don't have a family. I don't have anyone like that there. So I want to make sure that I'm having a good time. That obviously that plans change over time, right?
Sure.
But you at its core though, you still want to have fun. You want to travel
Absolutely.
to have fun. We just do that in different ways.
Absolutely.
Mine is not spontaneous travel. But anyway,
yeah, I also think for the movie, I think like I love his little trips that he takes and how they do cut and kind of parody like really large budget films. Like for the fight scene, it's like a massive Street Fighter battle in the middle of the street and stuff. Like they reference things really subtly and overtly sometimes, but just really well. And it creates the feeling of daydreaming. Like he pictures himself as an astronaut on the cover of Life magazine, and then when he gets snapped back to it, he's just a 9-to-5 worker. Like I just feel like they balance that really well.
Yeah, that is handled pretty well, and I love the parallel how the daydreams disappear the more he goes on his journey, because we've all been at that point, right? That point when we're more sheltered, and then we have those aspirations of what we'd like to do, and then we have those travels, those journeys, whether they're in our own homes, they're out in the area we live in. So it's absolutely that is a great moment, and it almost hooked me. It almost hooked me there when he but again, it just wasn't quite there.
Well, he stops daydreaming so much because they're not dreams anymore. They're just
he's living it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he's actually No, and I'm agreeing. Yeah, and I think it's really good storytelling, and that moment when he jumps on the helicopter with the drunk pilot that goes against every fiber in his body, one of the best scenes in the whole movie. And I'll tell you, just again, Cass and I, when we watch it, it's like, yep, absolutely, I'd jump on the helicopter. Like, there's no doubt.
Not even the fact is clear. The guy's clearly drunk would keep you away.
No,
the odds of dying go way up. But you're like, you know what? All right, cool.
I'll say I've been in the helicopter when my good friend Joe, friend of the podcast, he flew me in a helicopter when we were in Georgia. We booked a flight last minute as a training because he's learning how to fly. It was the second time ever flying, and the guy let him fly over Georgia, or Atlanta, pretty much like unaided for the most part. And I probably had more of a chance dying then than a helicopter pilot that has like 20 years experience and is drunk.
So if some guy comes up to you at a bar,
Cars are different.
Are they though? Helicopters are so much more dangerous, even when people are completely sober.
It's totally true, but there's way more vehicles on the road than there are helicopters in the middle of the ocean.
Okay, less populated town then, right? The guy comes
Still
up.
more cars than helicopters in the middle of the ocean.
That's just so crazy to me. I don't know. Like the guy's like clearly sauced out of his mind, and you're like, yeah. Helicopter sounds nice. At least it's over the ocean, I suppose, and that's an easier fall than ground.
I'm framing this as if I'm on this adventure of a lifetime. Like, if this is all happening, I would do that. In reality, I am very, like, again, I've flown a plane, which was really cool. I've been in a helicopter where someone else flew me that was super inexperienced. It's very different. Helicopters don't want to stay in the air, but they have a lot of fail-safes to keep you upright. Like, yes, you can crash them, just like you can drive a car, but a car wants to go straight. It doesn't want to flip over on the freeway. Something has to happen for you to want for the car to flip over.
Unless you're filming a Fast and Furious movie or something, then they want to go everywhere except for straight.
It's so weird. Cars, when they hit the 20th gear, just want to flip over. I'm not sure what the manufacturers had in mind when they introduced that feature. But
yeah, just make sure you stay out of the median. Was that a little underhanded Paul Walker joke? Anyhow, now we're getting off topic again. Any last thoughts before we
You
go?
sure burned him.
Oh man, it's crazy.
No, yeah, I mean, again, to the movie though, like, it is a personality movie. It really, like, obviously with this conversation, like, Garrett thinks it's a good movie. It's not like his favorite. Obviously, I'm putting words, but that's what I'm getting, is because it just doesn't align with your core values as much as it does mine. And I feel like if anything that's been talked about, this is probably our most like us conversation that we've had.
Yeah.
And if this piqued your interest at all, go watch the movie and you'll either align with it or you'll get with Garrett. Like, it'll be one of us and you'll feel it. It's that kind of movie that makes you think about it.
It's definitely reflected in the critic scores as well too. Like,
is it mixed?
The Metacritic rating for this movie is a 54. So it's like
right in the middle.
It's like people either agreed with it or they didn't, which is really fascinating. I'm curious. I'm not curious at all. I was going to say I was curious about the Rotten Tomatoes, but Rotten Tomatoes scores are not good. But anyhow, let's go ahead and final thoughts, and then some ratings, and then we can tease a little bit what's going on next week.
Yeah. I'll go
first.
Yeah.
My first time. I thought escapism is taken literally in Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and this feel-good story hits most of the right notes, except for just making me feel ultimately interested. At the end of the day, I'm glad that I watched it. I probably wouldn't watch it again, but I would recommend others to watch it because someone might find something in this movie that really connects to them, like it does for Adrian, or they may fall into the same category as me. Glad I watched it, but ultimately not there. That being said, I actually want to wager. What do you think I gave it for a score?
Wow. Based off everything that
I think you've actually been closer to guessing my scores than I have guessing your anything. So
it's because I'm too spontaneous, Gary. You just can't.
That's okay.
You can't nail it down. I'm gonna guess that you gave this movie an 84.
Wow. Okay. You're actually a little far off.
27.
No, this isn't a Good Will Hunting situation. I ended up giving the movie a 71. I did think it was good, just not something that I would want to watch again. I wouldn't want to own it, but I would recommend it. So moving on, Mr. Adrian, what do you think?
What if I gave this movie like under 10 after everything that I said? I was like, I don't like this movie.
It's too close to reality for me, and I really can't appreciate it.
I just don't enjoy documentaries and autobiography, so I really don't know what to say.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, the Adrian Quintana story.
Yeah, that's actually at the end. It says based on the life of.
It's just like your 4th grade picture where you're just like hand on your chin.
Yeah, before I could even travel. It's based on my elementary school status.
Exactly.
No, I mean, I've said it. I think this movie, if you watch this movie and you have any type of like identity with the main character, which I have a lot, it is a movie that's made for me, and it might be a movie that's made for you. So, like Garrett said, I highly recommend this movie to everybody. I know he's a little bit more hesitant just because it didn't align with him as much, but for me, I think I have recommended this movie to everybody. It's definitely one of those that's on my list of like, have you seen this? And a lot of people haven't because it didn't get the buzz that I personally feel that it did deserve. I think it definitely deserves to get a little bit more talk when it came out. And because of that, I give this movie a 99.
Wow. Alrighty. I think that's the highest rating you've had in quite a while.
It's a great movie.
I'm actually curious. Live, we're gonna check and see what the last high-rated movie you had was. I'm actually curious to see what.
I think it was Blazing Saddles. Didn't I give it a 99?
I'm trying to think of what the last movie you gave like over a 98 was. I will say we're over a 97. Closest would probably be Modern Times with Charlie Chaplin, which you gave a 96.
Yeah.
Then Your Name, you also gave a 96.
Good movie.
Yeah, the last 99 was Grand Budapest Hotel.
Good movie.
So
see, look, you just listed off 3 bangers. That's how my rating system works. Those 3 that you just listed off, those top tier picks, cream of the crop, guys. I don't give out my high scores willy-nilly.
Okay.
Is there a really bad movie that's 99 or something.
That you gave it?
Yeah.
Ooh. You mean like you're talking like the highest score differential? One of our biggest score differentials in a while was Driving Miss Daisy,
Yeah.
which you gave it 52 and I gave it 90. One of the biggest though is you gave New Year's Eve a 62 and I gave it a 15. And then
But hey,
also
I'm sticking with
Planet of the
anything
Apes. Planet of the Apes is still the biggest at 58-point differential.
Whoa.
Yeah, you. Where did I put it here? It was. Yeah, you gave it a 76 and I gave it an 18.
Wow.
Still our biggest differential to date.
But hey, I'm sticking with it. Anything in that 90 range for me, it's cream of the crop area. I just don't give those out.
Yeah, I feel like anything over 90 is like you need to go and watch this movie.
I give a lot of 70s and 80s. I feel like I just like movies in general, so I don't get overly critical of them. But 90s, I definitely do give out for movies.
That feels underhanded. I love movies, even though I give some of them lower scores.
But you're just a more critical person in general. I'm definitely the less critical person here about film.
That's true.
Judging by how like if we've reviewed 100 movies, 90 of them are rated 80-ish. Like,
I'm curious to see what all the averages are. But
yeah.
Anywho, that's going to bring us to an end for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Adrian, where can people find us online?
The Drive Back Podcast everywhere. That's any podcasting streaming service you have. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, The Drive Back Podcast. Make sure to subscribe and like and hit the bell. We post every Monday. And if you follow us on YouTube, you get a little bit of extra content every once in a while. And on Instagram at The Drive Back Podcast. And if you ever just want to get in touch with us, just give us a message anywhere, and we'll make sure to get back to you and like your message. And if you leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, you do get a Billboard shout out on the podcast. So definitely go ahead and make sure to do that. And we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, we buy a billboard in some small town somewhere.
Yeah,
because they're cheap enough that way.
The one that has the same amount of helicopters in the middle of the
which I feel like is most towns, but anyway, yeah. So next week, though, I feel like most towns have less helicopters in them than cars. Is what I was trying to say.
Oh, I said that the town will be small enough that it will have the same number of helicopters in the middle of the ocean.
Oh,
one.
I see what you're saying now.
It's basically we'll buy you a billboard in Radiator Springs before it made it on the map.
Because there's like sentient car count as an actual car. Oh, that's getting into potential Pixar racism. All right, so next week we are going to have Return of Franchise Fever, which we haven't had for a while. We're going to be taking a look at the Predator films.
Just in time for the new movie.
Just in time, so it'll be really fun to do. We'll probably do a video for Prey because it'll be a newer release.
And it's streaming. It's straight to
super easy to watch. It'll be on Hulu next month, I think. Yeah. But yeah, so it's going to be 4 different films: Predator, Predator 2, Predators, and The Predator. All of them are available on various different streaming platforms, so, I'm sure they are. But that's going to be next week, so thank you so much for joining us today. We will see you all next time here on The Drive Back. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Drive Back. Make sure to be on the lookout for new episodes every Monday, and make sure to follow us on social media.